What's going on, ladies and gents, nerds and nerdettes, sexy vixens, and wannabe Fonzies? I don't know what to call it, dudes. Anyways, it's your boy Darth. We're back in Queensblade Limit Break for some more video content. Finally, after a long hiatus there. There's some reasons there. Me and the game are having a bit of a tiff. But also, I work in retail as a second job as well, so things have been kind of crazy. I don't know if you've ever worked in retail, but sometimes you just want to super murder someone. Maybe that's not the right word, but it is what it is. Anyways, the Hall of the Dead, High School of the Dead, not Hall of the Dead, the High School of the Dead collaboration event is in full effect. And we did get, just like the first collaboration event that we actually got new warriors. And it's the same as last time we got a break and a duel, but we actually got a third one. In a surprise twist, they offered us a free SP warrior to some degree. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get it all the way up to 12. We'll have to wait until tomorrow when the second phase of the High School of the Dead event kicks in and the dual attribute warrior becomes available for people. Due to the time difference between Americas and some other countries, I think some other countries actually got her already because I've seen her floating around. Don't know if that was a bug, but the break attribute warrior was actually released first. Just want to cover the skill warrior under the event tab. 7-day login, you get one, as well as challenging the boss and getting the currency from there. You can come over here into the exchange and pick up 3 copies. Now that's enough to take you up to 8-star, not quite 9. So I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get her past that because the exchange shop here, unless it resets this, is on the full 14 days of the collaboration event, meaning that I'm not sure we're going to be able to get her to 12. Initial thoughts and reports that we will be able to get her to 12, but the warrior is basically free, but the rank up materials is not. Don't forget to get her and rank her up because if nothing else, she's a stat increase under the gallery for the Ascension and Warrior Awakening. Now, I'm going to cover this one a little bit different. I'm going to go through it really quick because we don't have much time left. We are almost set about 7 days into the event. The Break Attribute Warrior has been released. Haven't had time to cover her, but I do have her. Have had a chance to play with her. And I got to tell you, I love her. I like her. She is a great addition to the Break Attribute. But I don't know if I think people are confused about how she works. And I think she's a little more complicated because of some of the wording. But there's one aspect of her that is not complicated, and it is it's really good. But I want to bring out that we have a break and a dual attribute warrior. If I was recommending, just to put it right out there real quick and easy, I would say wait for the dual attribute and go hard on her. She's the one that people who know how to use that warrior and her skill sets. You can actually view her by going into the warrior index and going under duel. She's right here. Go in and read what's going on with her skills, but I'm just putting it out there right now. There is nothing wrong with this warrior. She's amazing. She provides huge amounts of sustained healing, even though she's a DPS. We'll talk about how she does that here in a second, but I would wait and go hard on the dual attribute warrior if you have limited books, spicy pose capabilities. If you can do both, I would actually recommend taking both of these because this warrior can fit in anywhere because of the amount of sustain that she has. And it's not that she's not capable of DPS, it's just a little more complicated for some people to understand. So let's get into it. Rei Miyamoto Lancer Schoolgirl. She looks great. She's got the Schoolgirl outfit on her. I don't know what it is about schoolgirl outfits. I'm torn because schoolgirl here in the U.S. generally means people who are underage, but we use the term schoolgirl freely to where it's kind of creepy, but everybody uses it. I wonder what the age of consent is in Japan. I might move there, get me a couple of younger I'm just kidding. Anyways, she looks really cool. It's very simple, nothing too outrageous about it, but the spicy pose is my favorite version of her. After a long day of battling high school zombie, I guess, she's a little battle-ridden. For some reason, her blouse ripped open, and she's like, oh, no! What is that, a bow staff that she's carrying around? She's carrying around something with a little hook on it. That's her little battle thing, but she's got to protect her areolas from being infected with zombie suckers. I don't know. Anyways, let's go in and just take a look at her. So basically, she's a crit upgrade burst warrior DPS. Now, I will say this. She provides massive amounts of healing. One of the breads and butters of her is this ability right here, this passive, Heartbreak. First of all, she, outside of Duel, who usually is known for max HP reduction, we finally get a Break Warrior that can do it. When she crits, she can reduce the target's max HP by 50% of the crit damage, and she is capable of massive crit hits. We'll look at that here in just a second. But anyways, I'm glad to see max HP reduction outside of Duel. Here it is, right here in a nutshell. If allies deal crit damage, heal 72% of the damage dealt to 3 allies with the lowest HP. Now, this may only hit 3 allies, but this is, the sustain off of this is huge. We're talking huge, okay? So she basically turns all allies into healers. Anytime an ally deals crit damage, 72% of that damage is distributed evenly to the 3 lowest HP warriors. So you have a constant healing going on at all times. Now, I have tested this out. I can't remember where I saved the screenshot. I was trying to bring it up. Here it is in a nutshell. I was doing Monster Takedown, hit for 75 million, 72%. What is going on here? 72. Sorry about that, guys. 72% of 75 million is a little over 51 million damage. That 51 million damage was divided amongst 3. I healed 3 allies for well over 17 million healing in that one hit. It was nuts. It was crazy. She's capable of massive amounts of healing. And when I say she, is because she is the one healing. Look at this scoreboard at the end of battle. She gets credit for the healing, not the warrior dealing the crit damage. The warrior dealing the crit damage is causing her to heal 3 allies. So when you look at the healing, you're going to see massive numbers. I think I hit 6 billion healing with barely any gear on. This is how I test warriors out. Barely any gear. No jewels. I didn't even have the spicy pose unlocked. None of that stuff. It still did 6 billion healing. That's the power of using your allies to your advantage. Now, as far as DPS, she can hit really hard. She deals break attribute damage when the enemy receives crit damage. Now, this one's a little wonky because I'm used to seeing the break attribute damage animation go off. I don't see it. Maybe it's just my screen or maybe it's just bugged. I can't tell if allies who deal crit damage to an enemy, she deals 40% break attribute damage, or if the warrior who deals the crit does. But I want to say it's just her and she gets credit for the damage. I'm having a little trouble seeing that, so if anybody knows, let me know if she's using allies again dealing crit damage, if it applies to crits done by allies or just her. Now, on her turn 1, the passives here. I want to read this because this is interesting. She gets the increase to attack and HP because she's a DPS. She gets 20% crit rate. She has a 60% chance of increasing her attack by 40% before attacking. Now, this is a one-off every time. Every time she goes in to do a normal attack or a skill-based attack, she has a 60% chance of increasing her attack by a whopping 40%. That's huge, guys. When I add my warriors to my boot camp, I think their base minimum attack without putting gear on is like 2.2 million damage before I even start to mess with them. So 40% of that, I don't know if that's really the way that it works. I want to say that the 60% chance of attack plus 40%. Generally, when you see this, so I just want to make it clear, I'm not saying that it's based off the 2 million. It's based off of the primary attack stat. So usually it's down around level 3. It's based on your level. So you see how you have 35,589 at 310? Well, my warriors are almost 400. So that attack value right here is a little higher. So 40% extra of the base attribute stat that you have for your level is where the 40% is coming in. But either way, 40% extra attack is still huge when you multiply and start adding in the 50% attack, because it does factor in that kind of stuff when it happens. But anyways, it's a one-off. She has a 60% chance of increasing her attack by base attribute attack by 40% before she hits. Then it disappears. But it doesn't stop there. When attacking, she gains crit damage plus 1% for every 2% crit rate. That's actually huge when you build a warrior properly from the beginning. We'll talk about that in a second. Her turn 1 ability is actually kind of cool. She has the ability to reduce breach resistance, but it is a little wonky. She hits 2 enemies. She deals physical damage. 2 enemies with the highest HP, but then she can also deal additional physical damage to the enemy with the lowest HP, but meet both conditions at the same time for both to be applied. So, again, this one's a little wonky. If you attack a column and there's only 2 enemies in there, technically they are the highest HP. So you're only going to get this first ability in order to go off. Now, as far as that second damage, again, I didn't really pay attention to the replay of the battles I was doing, but a lot of times that first one went off and the second one didn't. So I think you have to have more than 2 enemies in the attack formation, 2 with the highest, 1 with the lowest, because if you only have 2 enemies in there, they technically have the highest HP, so this effect is going to go off. Could just be referring to the breach effect. I'm pretty sure it doesn't, but I'm just putting it out there. I've spent a lot of time with the warrior, but there's so many things I'm testing right now. But this ability right here is actually really cool. Kind of plays into the crit rate, crit damage scenario. Triggers first regardless of mobilize. This ability either isn't working properly or is confusing as shit. She basically goes in attacks. I've run dozens of battles. She goes in and attacks first. Again, there are other warriors who attack first as well, but it says that she enters Fury State. That is not true. She actually goes in and attacks first and does nothing but attack. She doesn't actually enter Fury State until turn 2, where she doesn't attack. She just goes into Fury State. Now, Fury is cool because it removes buffs, nullifies, immobilize. All damage taken is reduced by 70%. So she can tank the hits, but it's actually better than that. The reduced damage that is dealt via direct attacks, we'll clarify that in a second. The reduced damage that she actually mitigates is stored and is released on her next attack. So she's increasing her damage by the amount of the damage taken. But then she also has the ability to increase her base attack by 40%. You have crit damage plus 1% for every 2% crit rate. Well, the other half of Fury is that each direct attack that she receives, her crit rate goes up and her crit damage goes up, stacking up to 5 times by these amounts depending upon what level your warrior skill is. She's capable of massive hits, guys, both on a normal attack and on this A1. That's just how I see it. Now, this does not apply to debuff damage. I want to clarify that right now. Debuff damage is curse, poisons, burns, things like that. Direct attacks, magical and physical attacks, is what is happening here. She's an awesome warrior, guys. I really do like the sustain that she brings. The damage that she brings is still supplementary to me because I haven't put her in a situation where I put my best gear, runes, jewels, and stuff like that on her to really see what her hits are. And I'm still testing that because I'm kind of rushing the video. Let's talk about building her out here really quick. What you're going to want to do is when you go into jewels, you're going to want to put crit rate here. You don't need crit damage. When you go to gear, for the sword, a lot of people are going to say go with crit rate. That you don't really need any more crit rate. What you're going to want to do is use the set bonus from the assault, 10% attack plus 11% crit rate during fights. Rune skills, we'll talk about here in a second, but you still want damnation at level 10. If you aren't level 10, just go with attack. On the gloves, at level 10, go with crit damage. That's pretty standard. And if you're not at level 10, go with either attack or HP. When you don't have blessings, if you have blessings level below level 10, I always recommend just going halfsies on all of it. 2 of them with HP and 2 of them with attack. Just do that. But I'm just giving you some scenarios here. For rune skills, though, you do want to go with something like increased crit rate to get the free increase to crit damage. That's just how I see that there. You can do that on rune skills, or you can do that on these particular skills right here. Just go for the crit rate, wherever that is, and upgrade it if you want to. Let me know what you guys thought about this particular warrior. Again, I want to reiterate, dual attribute warrior starts tomorrow. You only have 8 hours to pull for this particular warrior. If you really want that sustain, you really need to get in here and pull for her. However, the dual attribute warrior is what everybody is clamoring for PvP specifically. But she's also going to be helpful because of her abilities in PvE content, non-boss related, because her effects do not affect, some of her effects do not affect event bosses, I should say. They do have effects on monster takedowns. So take it with a grain of salt here. I really love this warrior. I'm going to take her to 12 as soon as I get off of this video. Finish ranking up her spicy poses, and then I am going to go hard on the dual attribute warrior with an automatic 12 and an automatic 5-star spicy pose. I have that much confidence in the dual attribute already. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next one.